At this time, I'd like to call the meeting of the Dysart Governing Board to order, and we'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next, we have audience with individuals. I don't believe we have any. Thank you. Okay, next, moving to item C1, Dr. Croto.
Thank you, Madam President. Good evening, Governing Board and guests. Just a few quick updates. This past Tuesday, we welcomed our new educator. We had a new educator orientation in the Vista and welcomed a ton of smiling faces to our district. The event went really well. They continued the week in preparation for the school year coming up, doing things at their local campuses and all that. So it was great to see them back and welcome them to our district. So all teachers report back on Monday the 31st. So that's coming up quick in just a few days. Our staff will be back on their campuses getting ready for that first day of school, which, believe it or not, is a week from today. On August 3rd. We are 1 week away from starting the school year. It's going to be a great year. We can feel it. Just some other pieces to mark down. Our open houses for our elementary and middle schools happened, and Meet the Teacher Night happened on Tuesday, August 1st coming up. So just a few days for that. And then our freshman orientation for all those brand new freshmen going into our high schools. That will be on Wednesday, August 2nd. So we have a lot of cool events coming up. Starting the year off, and we are looking forward to it. And that concludes my update.
Next, we have Governing Board update.
Well, I only attended the new educators orientation and just want to say welcome to the 152 new educators to the Dysart District, and good luck with this upcoming school year. We're excited to have them all.
I also attended the new educator orientation at the Vista, welcoming a lot of new faces to our district, and it was really refreshing to see that so many of the new educators were actually new to the profession. So welcoming a fresh batch of new teachers is really exciting. That's it.
I just wanted to take a moment and share an exciting accomplishment of one of our staff and teachers and coaches here in our district. As we've shared before, April 23rd, 2022, Coach Rachel Matakis was inducted into the Arizona Coaches Association Hall of Fame, which is an amazing accomplishment that not many coaches in Arizona have been able to attain. And this month, Rachel Matakis was inducted into the National High School Coaches Association Hall of Fame held in Nebraska. And I just wanted to extend a heartfelt congratulations to Coach Matakis. She's an amazing teacher, an exceptional coach, and just an all-around great human who I feel very blessed to have in our district. She definitely impacts students' lives for the better, both on and off the court. And I hope you will join me in congratulating her if you see her around campus. So again, congratulations to Coach Matakis. That's all I have. Thank
you. Moving to item D1, consent agenda. I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion carries. Moving to action discussion F1, Dr. Croto.
Thank you, Madam President. Members of the board, cabinet, and guests. We are proud to present to you a recommendation tonight for our position of Assistant Superintendent for Business Services. So we are bringing to you tonight Ms. Mary Dell Spidell is being recommended for the position. A little bit, you know her well, but a little bit about Mary Dale. She has a Bachelor's of Science in Accounting from Northern Arizona University, and she's also a certified public accountant. So I know we know that, but she does a great job at it. Thought we'd mention that. She also has some extensive educational experience. This I learned that she spent 9 years in audit management with Heinfeld and Meach. So she brings that to the table. And as of 2014, she was also the director of finance for Dysart Unified School District. So in a position she hopefully holds for another about minute and a half. So we are very happy to offer this recommendation. Mary Dale has done a wonderful job, and she will continue to do that. She's joined by her husband and her daughter and a bunch of her fans from business services, it looks like. So I turn this over to you for a recommendation to approve Mary Dale Spidell as the new Assistant Superintendent for Business Services.
I just want to add just how much I appreciate the opportunity to work with you. I know in many, many years past, the previous assistant superintendent would always give you all the accolades for basically being the backbone of a lot of what was brought together and presented to the board. You did a lot of that work. And I just really want to tell you how much I've appreciated just all that you've done for us, and I'm excited to have you in this new role. So congratulations.
Thank you. I would like to happily motion to approve the appointment of Mary Dale Spidell as Assistant Superintendent of Business Services.
Second.
Motion carries. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Next, we have item F2. Dr. Croto?
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board. Tonight, Dr. Poling will present this recommendation.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board, cabinet, and audience. Administration is recommending the addition of an interim high school principal position and recommending the appointment of Tom Ludeman to fill the interim position at Willow Canyon High School for the 23-24 school year. Currently, Mr. Ludeman is the Assistant Principal Athletic Director at Willow Canyon High School. He's probably a familiar face there in the front row. And again, it would be finishing out this year and serving as the interim high school principal position. And that's our recommendation this evening. I'll stand for any questions. And he is joined here with his family as well.
Any comment? Okay. I would like to motion to approve the addition of an interim high school principal position and appointment of Tom Ludeman as interim high school principal for the remainder of the 2023-2024 school year. Seconded by Joe Grant. Motion carries. Congratulations.
It's nice that you have your family here with you. I'm sure you're very proud of your dad. He does a very good job. Works very hard.
Next, we have action discussion F3. Dr. Croto?
Thank you, Madam President. Tonight, we come before you with the superintendent goals. So by policy, the governing board needs to talk about and approve goals for the superintendent. So we have some presentations and then some discussions on the goal pieces. So with that, I will start in. They're broken down. I broke this presentation down with your goals on top. So every goal we're going to go through. The top one is the governing board's goals that are adapted, and they are posted on the website. The highlighted piece will be my goal along with the indicators and the measures of how we're going to do that. So starting with goal A, every student in all schools will be prepared with the knowledge and skills to achieve college and career success. the goal that we are proposing, raise academic achievement across the district through the implementation of professional learning communities and increased accountability of student learning. So some of the indicators, we're going to grow by 3% average on our K-8 state testing and a quarter point on ACT composite, which is pretty significant on the ACT test. So the other indicator, 100% of principals will participate in a series of 4 data chats with Cabinet, which are ongoing. The first one of those 4 is ongoing now before school starts, but they're designed to make adjustment in their instructional practices and intervention to increase academic achievement. These data chats are about all their data across the board, what's required of them, any patterns we see, their plans to make changes, and the conversations they're going to have at the beginning of the year with teachers. The other indicator, the third indicator you see, 100% of focus schools. These focus schools were identified by having less than 40% proficiency in reading and less than 30% of the students proficient in math, or being an administrative team with a higher turnover, and I'll explain that in a minute. They'll partner with our Educational Service Department for intense monitoring. That will include visits by both assistant superintendents monthly and by Education Services staff monthly. The schools are Ashton, Dysart Middle School, Riverview, Thompson, West Point, and then the administrative team, since there was some turnover at Valley Vista. So we have targeted Valley Vista to make sure that with all the new members in their administrative team that they are functioning properly and get the support they receive. The last indicator in Goal A is 100% of the schools will implement the professional learning process with fidelity. As you know, when we took them to the workshop this summer, they had to come up with a rollout plan. Every school has an extensive rollout plan for their PLC process. It's done by quarters. We will monitor that. We will have meetings based on what they are doing and how they're rolling that out, and make sure that 100% of schools are following the plan that they have proposed. And that is currently ongoing also. Goal B, excuse me, Dysart Unified School District will recruit, train, and retain a high qualified staff to cultivate a culture of student success. We're proposing that we enhance systems and procedures related to recruiting, hiring, and retaining a highly qualified staff. So our indicators in that, by the end of 23-24 school year, there will be an increase in the communication avenues, consistencies, and community-wide outreach for employment opportunities and benefits within the district. What is that saying? We're going to increase our footprint on our recruiting fairs, on our social media, and everything we need to do in order to make an effort to recruit and get people into our district. So we have a serious focus on that. We know there's a big need, and that is a huge piece. The other indicator in this goal is by the end of the school year, we're going to develop a comprehensive customer service plan. We're going to develop that and implement that across all of our facilities, not just our schools, all of our facilities, and that's hopefully going to increase satisfaction of all our stakeholders. We are going to do some satisfaction surveys and base that, and customer service is a key part of all that, on how we interact with our community on a daily basis, how we answer the phone, all those pieces, how they are greeted when they come to our sporting events or after-school events. Those are positive pieces that we need to portray as a district. Goal C, the Dysart Unified School District culture will consistently be reflective of a safe and secure environment for all stakeholders. The goal we are proposing, continue to provide an increased focus on safety and security of each Dysart facility through enhanced safety protocols. As we know, safety is the top concern. Without safety and without safe schools, we know our kids are not going to learn. So that is the first and foremost thing we look at, that our schools need to be safe and people need to feel comfortable going to our schools. The indicators, by the end of the 23-24 school year, all campuses will have conducted regular safety checks and inspections. In addition, 8 campuses will have conducted a full safety audit, which you've seen part of, and we'll see more tonight, as part of the 3-year implementation cycle for all campuses and facilities. Those are very, very, as you will see a little bit later this evening, very, very comprehensive audits. They take a long time to complete, but do go through every aspect of our campus. So that one kind of has both goals, that we do all our safety checks, our lockdowns, our drills, our fire drills. We're checking that doors are locked. Those are all the safety checks and inspections that happen at the school. And then our second indicator is by the end of the school year, Training of safety operations and practices related to each position will have been completed with all 13 SROs, all security guards for high school campuses, and administrators throughout the district. This is becoming more important as you see the number 13 SROs. We almost have our own police force in Dysart, so we need to get together. As you know, some sit in Surprise, some sit in El Mirage. It's important that we are coordinating with each other and have a training program or talk about things that need to be fixed on our campuses. Most of their training comes from the police department because they are still employed by the police department. But there are things in schools that we need to talk about and all that too. New to this is a security guard piece. Currently, the security guards are trained on their local campuses. We are moving that to a district model where security guards will have a security guard program that's being developed. They'll be trained under that, and they can be used at different sites should different situations arise. But they will have that basic training across the board, and we're looking forward to that and helping out with those pieces. Administrators throughout the district, obviously, that's an important piece. With training our administrators, they need to know the safety protocols, what's expected. We are doing some drug intervention training, so recognition and things like that with our administrators, so that can help them with things that are happening throughout our campus. So that is goal C. And the last goal, the Dysart Unified School District will identify and maximize available resources to support student success. We are proposing to continue to identify and maximize available resources, both internally and externally, to support student success. Again, this is our fiscal responsibility. Our goal is to increase our capital reserves and maintain or increase the applications to the school's facilities division for building funding. We continue to do a magnificent job of getting projects funded by the school facilities division. We need to continue to do so. As you've been around the district and you see next door, even in Valley, we have a lot of roof projects going on and all that, and those are funded by this school facilities division. So the goal is to increase that. And then the last indicator there is to reduce our number of late arriving buses by 25%. So this puts a strain on our educational system. It puts a strain on our busing system. There's strains all around, and so we have a commitment to reduce those number of late arriving buses. We have the data to track that, and transportation is committed to making that happen. So with that, I will stand for any questions or discussion. Maybe? Okay, that's the end of it. So there is no other slide. So that is the presentation, and I'll stand for any questions or discussion with any of the goals. Or comments.
A comment and a question. First, this is amazing. Thank you for this. It's nice to see quantifiable goals. I guess my only concern, is around goal A, where we talk about, growth in the K-8 testing and or ACT testing. How would you want that goal to be monitored if for some reason one of those reports doesn't come out? If the report was maybe suspended for some reason, whether it was another pandemic, hopefully not, but something along those lines, how would you want your this metric to be reviewed or expect it to be reviewed?
I believe it's a great question, Madam President. I believe, with the metrics available now with our state testing, should they continue? We also do growth within our benchmark testing. So we do have backups internally. We do DIBELS testing. So we have multiple areas to show that we have student growth. And that students can grow. So should something happen and I think this is your question, that those measures can't happen, what would we fall back on?
Right.
And I think we have things internally covered that we could come and talk about and substitute in those places.
Perfect. Thank you.
Great report. Thank you so much. I love the details. The only question I have, and maybe it doesn't, I don't know if it fits into a goal or not, but I've brought this up before, but how are you and the principals, et cetera, going to attack the absenteeism? Is there a plan in place for that? Because student success is great, but they're not going to succeed if they're not in the classroom.
Madam President, Member Grant, thank you for that question. Attendance is a huge focus. So if you notice under the 4 data chats in that second bullet, attendance data is shared in that thing, and we do require a plan. We spent all day. We did six data chats today. We did a whole bunch the day before and last week. That is a major portion of that data chat. What are we going to do about it? We track the number of absences. We track chronic absences, so anybody over 18 absences all the way down. Our principals are able to run reports of what kid belongs in what category. They're going to start communicating with parents. We are doing a district awareness. You're going to see that in the next few days. Renee and her department are going to be putting out a lot of notices in our social media about the importance of attendance and being at school. And we've urged parents to even look at the correlation of how successful students are in school and their absences, if they have high absences, and having those conversations with parents that our students need to be here. It's important that they're here and that in order to learn and grow, that they need to be present. So it is definitely a focus for us, and we discuss that with every single principal.
Great. Thank you so much for doing that.
Welcome.
Thank you for putting the time into the goals. I have always, my primary focus is always the academic piece, so I appreciate you putting in some very specific measures in there where we can definitely get our kids where they need to be academically. Safety is probably my second highest concern, so I appreciate you including those in your goals. But I'm wondering if there's a way that we can add a measurable goal or some way to measure safety in regard to safety in general. But in one area that I'm thinking about is like with our lockdown drills, our individual campus walkthroughs and things. I know one time when I was with Mr. Yeager and Mr. Musi on a campus, there was a checklist of things that they went through during lockdowns. And it's my understanding that then the principals are to go back with their teams and review and then make those modifications and changes. So I'm wondering if there's a way that we can come up with some sort of a goal that would measure, including fidelity checks, to where if something was noted on a campus during a lockdown drill that isn't being done, then when Mr. Yeager and his team go back and do like a fidelity check and make sure, okay, what percentage, where are we at as far as these schools addressing these problems to make sure our kids are safe? Because those safety checks don't mean anything if we don't do anything to resolve whatever issues are discovered. So is there a way we can add some sort of a goal in there that would measure that?
Absolutely. We can add a third bullet to that. We may add it in the first bullet, just thinking off the top of my head, and we have to come up with wording, but something along the lines of if a regular safety check has outstanding items or is less than 90% satisfactory, that a follow-up will be conducted and those items will be corrected. We just have to quickly think of the wording of something like that. So
that sounds
in the
actually
motion.
exactly what I was thinking. And then maybe too, just to make sure that I know for me, I'm very much a data person, so I would want to have some sort of document that is used to where if we're like, okay, I want to see, I know we've had some concerns with this school or that school, and I want to see, are they making some improvements on their safety checks? And because again, I want to make sure these kids are safe. So creating a document, not just, the school's getting better, but actually having a document that would illustrate, yes, our fidelity checks are, effective and they are making the necessary changes.
We can do that. We can add a third bullet to that. I think in the motion, we just tell them, or state in the motion that with the added piece on the safety goal, and we'll come up with, instead of coming up with the language right now, but we can definitely add something along the lines of adding follow-ups will be conducted for safety checks that are less than 90% effective on a campus, or anything outstanding items on a campus and will be corrected.
Okay.
We can definitely do that.
I just want to clarify, so if we did a 90% effectiveness, I'm not sure what the form is called when you do the walkthroughs. Is it like an audit checklist or?
Yes.
Okay, so on the audit checklist, are different things weighted differently, or is everything worth the same point value?
As you'll see later on this evening, that there's immediate needs that need to be checked if we're talking about the safety audits. So on the safety audit portion, and I remember, Pritchard, I think you were talking more of the safety checks along with the drills and not the audits. I guess we could do both. That's the way I was taking it, so that's a great clarification. When we're checking doors, or we're checking this, or we're checking a lockdown drill, that there's deficiencies during those times and not the safety audit.
Well, that's what I'm talking about, yeah,
Okay.
the drill type things, but I also think if we're gonna be taking the time to do these extensive audits like we did at Freedom, I just don't want it to be a document on a shelf, so for sure, whatever Ms. Dunsmore is recommending, or anything the
both.
district can do to, both, just to make sure that, again, we go through those audits, we get good information, I wanna know that we're implementing them, but I was specifically talking about just kind of those lockdown, because I know that's something we can for sure measure. I just want to make sure we have measurable goals of keeping our kids safe, our staff and campuses, secure.
I agree, and that's most important. And we do have, so on the, Member Dinsmore to answer it, on the audits, there are lists that's created: immediate needs within the next 30 days. You'll get to see that future needs, that may be bigger items that we'll have to talk about funding sources or things like that. Okay. So those lists are created for things that need to be done immediately. Likewise, as we do our safety checks on our lockdowns or on doors locked, that's immediate feedback. I know that Mr. Yeager and Mr. Musey last year sent out direct feedback to those schools after that was done about what they found and what went well and what needs to be corrected immediately. So we do have documentation and all that, and can be easily followed up with.
Okay. I struggle with the 90% when it comes to student safety. I mean,
I do
I
too.
understand the intent.
I would say not 90%. I struggle with saying 90%
Thank
because it's the
you.
10% that you have error on that can cost you. So I think we
yeah.
have 100% follow-up and taken care of, and at least addressed. I do not disagree with that. I mean, they need to be addressed to the fullest extent if there's a problem,
Okay.
and that we show that.
I agree. I mean, especially when it comes to the walkthroughs that Mr. Yeager was doing, I agree. I wish it were 100%, because I think then you're looking at a little bit of error is okay, and I don't want to say that that's okay. My only reason for maybe thinking, 95 to 100 is just to give a little grace if it's a matter of, hey, we went through during the lockdown and there was, well, I don't even want to say it's because you can't leave a door unlocked. I mean, you have to have it. So,
Yep.
I'm just thinking of any little thing that might have not been necessarily a life-threatening or a life-endangering thing, but it's something on the list that's a concern, like maybe, all the lights were let's say a light was supposed to be off even in an empty classroom, and I don't even think that's a thing, but if it was and the light was on, that's not 100% then. So those are the things that I was thinking, but I would assume that all the things on that list would probably be something that would have a direct impact on a child or a staff member, so I'm comfortable with 100%, but I was just,
I'm comfortable with 100%.
okay.
Thank you.
I don't. We need to follow up on the items. We need to get them addressed. So I am comfortable with that.
Thank you. Okay.
I have a question for Goal A. The 5 schools that are less proficient, 40% and 30%, what goal do you want them to get to by the end of the school year? How much of a percentage are you looking to increase? Because that's very concerning to me. We have 5 schools that are that low of a proficiency. What are we doing to increase that?
They are getting those visits. Additionally, those are built into their goals when we have the data discussions and their continuous improvement plans. So each score is obviously different, and they're at a different place. Not all of them are at percentages. So those percentages vary by the different schools and their goals. our real goal is to get above that 40 and 30 in proficiency, but sometimes that's not realistic for that much of a gain. So, realistically, or I guess not realistically, I would tell you we want them over the 40 and 30 and out of the focus schools. But little gains are sometimes better. It might be only a 10% gain and we don't get there, but 10% is pretty huge. So each of those schools have some significant goals that they need to reach in all their pieces. And that kind of varies on the schools, but it is very prescribed. Each of those, they have discussions. Dr. Asai and Mr. Mussi have had some serious discussions on their continuous improvement plans, as well as in those data chats of where they need to be and the discussions they need to have with their staff.
Okay, thank you.
So do you have a suggestion on the motion then? Or can you repeat what you said earlier?
I have a suggestion,
Okay.
if you want me to.
No, go ahead.
Okay. I move to approve the superintendent's 2023-2024 goals and objectives to include the measures pertaining to safety as discussed,
That's fine.
because then you can just reference the audio and get it from there.
Second. Motion carries. Next, we have item G1. Do we have any requests for future agenda items? Not hearing any, we'll move to H1. All right, I will motion to convene to an executive session.
Second. Motion carries.